Welcome to the January 2025 True Love Society Open House. And for those of you who are attending for the first time or watching this recording for the first time, this is something that I am going to do every month here in the True Love Society. Last month, we had our first open house. And one of the most important features of our open houses is that I invite a special guest to come and to share their wisdom with all of you. And very selfishly, I'm inviting the people that I like and I want to get their wisdom and I like learning from them. So today we are joined by my friend Angela Stalcup, which some of you know from Clubhouse days and from Manifestation Monday, but also from the Dream Room that she hosted on Clubhouse back in the day. RIP Clubhouse. RIP the glory days of Clubhouse. I'm sorry, it still
Exactly.
exists, to be clear. Um, but as you all have heard me say many times, Angela has taught me so much about dreams and the power of dreams and dreaming. And I'm so excited, Angela, to have you here today to share your wisdom with the rest of the community. So, and hi, Gia. All right. I'm not going to say hi to everybody that comes in, but I can't help it because I get so excited. All right. So,
So excited to see you, Freddie. Okay, I just had to say that. All right.
So Angela, first of all, thank you again for being here with us. And do you want to just give a little bit of introduction about yourself and your background in dreams and dreaming?
Yeah, that sounds great. So, hi everybody. I'm super excited to be here, and it's our throwback to Manifestation Monday, and then when we were doing our dream room, and it's great to be here and to be talking about dreams. So, um, from a dream perspective, I've always been a person who had, from the time I was a kid, had very vivid dreams, and in fact, had terrible nightmares. And I can remember dreams all the way back to when I was 7 years old, right? And so when I was a teenager, though, I stumbled across a book in a bookstore. It's called Unlocking the Power of Your 24-Hour Mind. And it was a non-woo. I was in a church that didn't believe in any kind of woo thing. So it was the least woo approach to dreams, but it was about understanding dream symbols and how you would understand your own dream symbols. And so I started working with dreams, and I was probably 19, 20, something like that. And immediately my nightmares went away. I was able to clear up my nightmares, and I would just have these just awful nightmares. And so over the years, I keep coming back to dreams. So I have vivid dreams. Sometimes I record my dreams, sometimes I don't. But I work a lot with dreams. So part of my pandemic project was when we all went into lockdown. I said, I'm really going to ramp up my investigation of dreams. And so I started becoming really deliberate with dream practice. And what I would, well, and if you look into it, there's every kind of way to approach dreams. There's a purely psychological, there's a purely neurological, scientific approach. There is, an entirely woo approach. I'm just all of it. Let's just put it all together into the big mixer, right? But I started working with deliberate dreaming, like I say, in the pandemic, when I'm like, okay, who am I going to be around but myself? Let me explore something that is uniquely mine, which is dreams. And so this is really where I come from in my positioning, and have really, especially in the last 5 years, have really cinched down in what my own work and with people that I work with, is to say there is nothing more unique to you than your dreams and your dream life. And even if you don't remember your dreams, you're having dreams. I think there's some statistic, only 4% of people don't dream. You may not remember dreams. So people will say to me, I don't dream. You probably do. Usually people that absolutely don't dream have some sort of brain injury, right? Because not only is dreaming a human experience, right? It's also an experience of sentient beings. If you have a dog, you've probably seen your dog dreaming, right? You
Yes,
know, do-
absolutely.
dogs,
Yep.
cats. Yep,
The
yep.
pause will be going in and everything.
They're dreaming. There's a whole thing about, they think that octopus may dream, right? Because they'll be asleep and they'll change colors, and they will go through the colors. Sometimes it would be the color of being in a fight, and sometimes it's going to be the color for mating. They think that almost all sentient beings dream. So dreams are part of being a sentient being on this planet. Yet each dream is unique to the dreamer, and only you know what that dream is. Only you are having that experience. And so, in a time, particularly when there is a battle for our attention, when forces, malevolent forces, are trying to co opt our mental space, right? They're trying to colonize our minds and our bodies. Then the thing that we have that can be, to me, not only a side of productivity and creativity, but of resistance, is embracing our own dreams and paying attention to our dreams. And so by taking that approach and really honoring that dream experience, even if I just remember a snippet of dream, even if I don't remember any of a dream, to say this is a really important part of being a human, of being a person. And then I've used it as a kicking off point for productivity, but and for spiritual practice. And by doing a lot of study, which I'm that person who's going to study 100 things, put it in the cooker and come out with something, I was able to come up with a really simple methodology that works for me, has worked for a lot of people. It's involving something called a dream incubation or a dream suggestion. And I mean, it's like you don't have to remember your dream, you don't have to record a dream, you just set it and go. And it is really a very powerful practice. So that's kind of the setup. Oh, and I guess just in my non-dreaming life, my background is I have worked for years with entrepreneurs, particularly women entrepreneurs in early startup. It's funny, I ran incubators and now I do dream incubations. So I mean, there's something in your destiny, right? I did business incubators and now I do dream incubations. And so I worked with startups. Then I moved into working with tech startups. So I've just transitioned from one tech startup into another. And so I work a lot with people and their creative dreams. So to me, these two things coming together, the creative dream and the physical dream, is just something that just checks all my boxes and makes me very happy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. So, I'm like you. I'm somebody who, as a kid, I always had very vivid dreams. I mean, I have dreams from childhood that I still remember. I was someone who used to wake up in the morning and want to tell my parents everything I dreamt. And then over the years, I think I a little bit lost touch with my dreams. I mean, I would dream, but I think we live in a world where we're told our dreams are just random. Like our minds are just you're just making shit up while you're sleeping. And so it actually was in my 20s, and it was after my dad died, and I had this year after he died that I was very sad, and I would cry myself to sleep every night, and I would always dream that he was alive. And in my dream, I'd be like, oh my God, I thought you died. And I'd be so relieved. And then I'd wake up in the morning and I realize he's dead and it was a dream. And then so I was like, why, like, what is going on that I'm just being tortured by my sleeping life? That's how I
Mm-hmm.
felt for that year. Um, and then one night I had a dream that, uh, well, I shouldn't say that he was alive. My dad was in the dream, but I understood, because you know how you know things in dreams. I understood that he had passed, but that he was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this really beautiful dream because my dad loved music and he loved to dance, and there was music playing and we were dancing and he was spinning me around and I was laughing so hard in my dream that I woke myself up laughing. And it was like the first time I woke up like laughing instead of crying after so long. And that dream like healed me. Like that dream,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I'm saying like I, instantly didn't miss my father anymore, but my whole perspective on his passing just literally transformed literally overnight in that dream. And so ever since then, I've known, I'm like, okay, there's something more going on here, but I still didn't really know what to do about it until I met you. So I would love for you to just explain to everyone what a dream incubation is, how it works, how to do them, and how they can help us, because I have a lot to say, but you're the expert that we're here to learn from.
Yeah, and I really do want to hear, Franny, how you've taken what we've talked about over these last couple of years and used it, because I think every person and anybody else who's, I know G has worked with dream incubations, I know B has, if you've worked with dream incubations and want to talk about that a little bit, because everybody's going to get their own little, their own little flavor to it. But you mentioned a couple of things that I think are really important. And number one is the fact that particularly in Western culture, dreams have been really um, considered to be nothing, right? In fact, to be called a dreamer is often an insult, right? Oh, you're just a dreamer. You're just a wide-eyed dreamer, right? You need to go from dreaming to doing, right? And when I was doing, working with small business owners, we're going to take it from dreaming to doing. And dream incubations, the dreaming is the doing. Trademark. Dreaming is the doing. But
Yes,
but
I
so
love it.
so Western culture has devalued dreaming, right? The act of dreaming. However, if we look at it all the way just as far back as we can go in recorded time, societies from forever valued dreams. I mean, in Egypt, there were dream temples and where people would go and sleep and have dreams, right? There were priests and priestesses that would dream for you, right? This has been, we see this through cultures throughout time, and even currently in sort of non-Western cultures, indigenous cultures. I know in Caribbean culture, African culture, there's a lot of value placed in dreams, and even in some cultures in the United States, there depending where you come from, you may know there may be somebody in your family who's the dreamer. You may be the dreamer, the one who knows when somebody's pregnant, or who knows what the baby's going to be, or knows when somebody's going to die, right? And so there are families that value dreaming, but culturally, Western culture, dreams became greatly devalued. And I think oftentimes because it's a place where women have consistently been the dreamers. And then attention started to be given to it with traditional psychotherapy, Freud and Jung. And so now a dream is something as a problem to be solved. Then neuroscience started studying it, and it's like, oh, it's a mechanical thing. And so I'm really glad that we are at a point where we can now embrace the full scope of this. We can learn all about the science of it. It's all very interesting. But to understand that there is a piece of human experience so connected to dreaming that basically patriarchy has tried to pull away from us, and that by reconnecting to it, and part of that pulling it away from is to say, oh, that's not important, that's silly, that's foolish, right? And so we can start to believe that, or it's scary, right? Is that the dream is scary. So when you're talking about you're having these dreams after your father passed, I know I had this with my mom, where in the dream I'd realize she had died. It can be very scary and very painful experience. So a lot of times people are like, I'm afraid to dream, because when I do remember the dreams, the strongest dreams that I remember are the painful ones, right? Or the scary ones. And so I want to say that, by by saying, oh, dreams are scary, or dreams are stupid or foolish or whatever, we've disconnected from a part of ourselves, right? So the dream incubation is a way to reconnect with that in a really simple and direct way. So I call it deliberate dreaming on purpose, right? And I didn't make up the concept of a dream incubation or a dream suggestion. So what is it? It's you just giving yourself really a hypnotic suggestion. As you're falling asleep, you go into a stage that's basically the same as hypnosis. So you're going into deep relaxation, your brain waves are changing, you're going through stages. And in fact, if you're just falling asleep and maybe you see shapes or colors, you might hear a sound, you may see a little vignette. It's called hypnagogia, right? Hypno being the same term as hypnosis, right? You're in a very relaxed state, your barriers are down, right? And so that allows you to be open to suggestion. So dream suggestion, dream incubation is that you put the thought into that state that you would like to have your dream self work on, rather than just letting it be random, because dreams can be random. If we don't do anything with it, our dream self's like, oh, I'll show you this today. I'm gonna pull this out of the bank, right? You may notice that if you are looking at, watching TV or reading a book or listening to music or having a conversation, that will show up in your dreams, right? Your dreams I think that this is probably important to say. Your dreams you may hear words when you dream, but your dream self is not speaking to you in language. It's not really a left brain language communication. It's communicating to you with images. It's also communicating to you with emotions, right? So it's trying to say, here's an emotion. I'm trying to give you a message, and it's going to be based on a feeling. And here's a story that's going to help you to understand the feeling that I'm trying to get you to connect to. I'm trying to get you to connect to a message connected to that. Now, on the full woo side, it's also because those barriers are down. It's you to be in touch with those who've transitioned, to be in touch with guides and guardians, to be able to have those kinds of past life, future life experiences. Again, we're sort of in this very open state. And so we can connect to things that are multidimensional beyond physical reality, right? So that the dream state allows us to have that. But particularly being open to suggestion before we go to sleep, right? Lets us start to just put a seed in of what we would like to use this tremendous creative capability that we have in dreaming to either solve a problem, to have a creative project, to connect with someone living or dead. These are very powerful opportunities because we're in that state, right? So
Yes.
basically a dream incubation. If you say tonight I'd like to have a dream where so tonight I'd like to have a dream about self-worth, and when I wake up I would like to feel my self-worth. I'd like to feel my value, right? There you go. Maybe you'll have a dream that you will remember. And it could be a dream where you're just like, I feel so good. And you wake up, like, I feel so good. You may have a dream where you feel terrible, right? Because it's bringing up the blocks to that, right? But so it's like it lets you challenge that and say, oh no, that's not how I feel. You may remember nothing, right? But because you have put the suggestion in, when in your waking life, you are now more alert to answers. And so I'm going to pause there. I want to talk about the
Yeah.
science of that for a minute,
Yeah.
but
Well, can I also
I'll come
just
back to that. Go ahead.
I want to just interject for people who have never done this before because when Angela first introduced me to dream incubations, I think probably the first real sort of consistent way that I would use them was for ideas. And so either like a problem solving or I wanted a new idea. And so I'd be like, so I'd say, tonight, as I was falling asleep, I'm like, okay, tonight I wanna wake up with a really good idea for my
Mm-hmm.
business. And oftentimes, like you said, Angela, I would not remember my dream. And sometimes I would wake up and I really would have a new idea, but sometimes I would get the idea later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it's like I always got something from it though. And so I think I want to mention this for anybody who's like, oh, I don't know, I hardly ever remember my dreams or like, or how do I use this? I mean, I can get into other ways that I've been using my dream incubations more recently, but it really does set something in motion in your mind that now I feel like I'm bummed when I fall asleep too quickly to do a dream incubation
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, man,
You missed it.
I could have gotten
Uh,
something done last night.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And if you are a productivity freak, now you're just really going to be like, no, I'm working it. But the idea of dream incubation does come out. There's spiritual practice related to this, but there's also the science of it is very interesting. And they did studies, and they had people study like for an exam, and they would have them study for the exam right before they went to sleep. And they had a group that didn't and a group that did. And the group that studied right before they went to sleep did better on the test. They would introduce people to a new skill, right? And so some people would learn it in the middle of the day, some would learn it right before they went to sleep. The ones that learned it right before they went to sleep did better when they were asked to continue learning it, right? So it's not that you will necessarily instantly remember everything, it just eases the flow of whatever you're trying to do. So really, this dream suggestion concept is like priming the pump. You're priming the pump of the creative and spiritual possibilities and skills, talents, capabilities. That's the word I'm looking for, of your dreaming self. Right now, we could get into what is the dream self, but let's just for the purpose of this conversation say that it is let you connect to your subconscious, your unconscious, and to your greater consciousness. And whatever that is for you, it could be an inner being, a higher being, a God self, whatever. it allows you to connect to any and all of those things in a way, again, with no barriers. So it's, so, you don't have to just chant it before you go to sleep. You don't just have to go, yes, yes, I need to, I mean, like I do things like I can't find my business credit card. Where is my business credit card? Like, and then wake up and go, you know what? I've been looking for that card for 3 days, but I didn't check behind that little bench over here where I put my purse. Zip, there it is, right? So you can use things, you can make this very practical, you can make it very esoteric, but the closer you can do it to falling asleep, the more powerful that it's going to be. And so again, it just seems like, well, that's not going to work. It does. and
It
and
does. It totally does.
and you can, particularly if you're trying to have a dream. I've heard, I've heard experts say you want to think about, maybe you want to say, show me a solution, let me see it, let me understand. That's all fine and good. But you know what? I'm a manifesting generator and I'm looking for the shortcut. This is why I love a dream incubation. It's just a shortcut. You don't have to, I don't need to remember anything. I don't need to see anything. Because what this is doing is it's making me more sensitive to what's happening in my waking life. And to your point, Franny, you may wake up with an idea. You may wake up with just a sense of something, right? You may have that idea later in the day, but oftentimes what happens is you have an impulse. There's a synchronicity, and you act on that, and you realize this is the answer to the situation or challenge that I gave my dreaming self, right? So many times it's not just, oh, I had a dream and here's how I'm going to understand the dream, or even that I just woke up and was like, ding, let me go check behind that couch, right? But it's that you line up these other elements that are part of manifestation in such a way that it's very, very easy to navigate. And so you can worry about, you can do all kinds of language, you can tweak language, but a lot of times, if you will just, as you're falling asleep, think about what you want. What is it that you want related to this thing, right? So you're talking about you starting with an idea. I just like to wake up with a good idea about how to start my business, or how to have a conversation. Maybe you're trying to maybe you want to maybe you need to have a hard conversation. I was thinking, Franny, here's everything I printed out from when we did from when I did your intensive your intensive dating program, right?
Oh my gosh.
This
Amazing.
all my notes. This is when the bird attacked me. If anybody was there, and I got attacked by birds multiple times,
I
writing.
remember that. That was
Yes.
great.
So like there's all these reflections. Like you could take anything like this and say, I would like to, I want to feel more self-love. I want to be in a receptive state for love, right? So I want to be receptive to the bird, to the bird. I just saw the bird attack. I want to be receptive to the birds attacking me. I want to be receptive to my partner, to the perfect partner for me. And perfect is a sketchy word, right? But to a good partner for me, right? So I want to be receptive. I want to be open to love. You can, whatever it is that you want. I think is that this is one of the things, just with manifestation in general. If you frame it in a way of like, I don't want, right? I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to feel bad. You're going to probably generate some nightmares, right? You might pull that up, right?
Yeah.
But if you keep it really framed positively, so for example, I just in preparation, just thinking about having this conversation, I was doing some dream incubations, and I was like, I would really like to, have dreams that are going to help me to connect to really good content to share that will be meaningful to people. And so I had two dreams in the same night. So the first dream, I was dreaming about dreaming. And in that dream, I'm actually observing the dream, right? And so there's a thing that's called becoming lucid in a dream. It's where you're actually aware that you're dreaming. And then a lot of times you can sort of take control in the dream. I wasn't fully lucid. I was semi-lucid. I was aware there was a dream. And I was like, look at this. This is an illustration of, right? And I will say, I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, this is good. I woke up, I'm like, oh, that's so lovely. I'm coming up with content. Then I went back to sleep and I had a nightmare. Well, it wasn't a full nightmare, but it was a disturbing dream. And in that dream, I was experiencing every kind of technical problem to get to this meeting, right? To get to this event. And I was late and I had the wrong day. And I'm like, oh my God. And I literally in the dream, I'm going, it's January 21st. I'm supposed to be there at 7 p.m. And it was problem after problem after problem. But throughout that dream, I solved those problems. Every problem that came up, I solved it and ended up having a positive experience. And in fact, at the end, somebody came in to for all the people that were in this group and offered us business loans. So let's just hold that and say
Okay.
perhaps, perhaps that's precognitive, right? Precognitive means like a premonition, right? So we're going to
I
hold
love
that. But
it.
it's like, and I was just like, here you guys are all together. Here's fill out these forms for business loans, right? So I just think it's a very interesting way to show you can take something for this. I was pretty specific about what I wanted, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to come up with some good content. And I did have some content, but then I also dealt with some of the fears and barriers and so forth, and it let me process them so that hopefully, when we get to this point, what I'm sharing makes sense and connects with people, right? So
Yeah.
so there's many ways to use it. So Franny, back to you, but I wanted you
Yeah.
to talk about how you have used.
Well, there's a couple of things that you said that I think are really important. I mean, everything you said, but um, I think one of the benefits, and this is maybe like a more this I think this is one of the ancillary benefits of doing dream incubations is that because I have my attention on it, I notice how much falling asleep is actually a time to ruminate on the things that are stressing
Hmm.
you out and
Hmm.
that you don't want, right? So like when you're talking about how like it's so easy for us to focus on what we do not want, right? Like that's just our minds. Our minds are going to we're trying to solve the problem, we're going back to it over and over again. And so it's a way for me to catch myself and be like, oh, I'm thinking about something that I don't want, right? I'm
Hmm.
thinking this is not productive thought because I'm not problem solving, I'm just worrying. And then, but focusing on, okay, well, what do I actually want to dream tonight is a way for me to shift that focus. So I'm no longer giving all that energy to what I don't want. So I think that that's just something that's beneficial for all of us. Um, and recently I had this week where I mean this is like literally just happened like 2 weeks ago, like probably like the first week of January, where I was having massive anxiety dreams every night.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
and I have anxiety dreams just like everybody else, and I've had recurring dreams through the years, but it was like every night it was just like greatest hits. It's like every night these dreams were stressing me out in some other way, right? And I was like, and it was interesting because I'm like, I don't even feel that anxious in my waking life, but I did realize, as the week went on, um, that I mean, I had uncertainty, my book was going to be announced and it was before that happened and I didn't know it was going to happen. So I did have a lot of anxiety that I was like consciously really trying to keep at bay. But and my dreams were like, this emotion has to go somewhere.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is where we're going to do it. Right. And so I think sometimes just like you, Angela, having that anxiety dream of problem after problem, it's like, no, that's actually your mind's way of preparing you so you don't have to be all stressed out while you're awake. You can actually process that while you're sleeping and then be okay while you're awake. So those are just a couple of things that came to mind. But I'm learning French now. And so I've been using dream incubations to help me with French because one of my issues with French historically has been I have no natural ear for it, right? So like, like if somebody says a word to you in English, or I'll say somebody says a word to me in English I've never heard before, I can at least make out what you said and repeat
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
But in French, it's like that might as well be ancient Greek. Like I don't know I know we technically have the same alphabet, but it doesn't sound like it to me, right?
Right.
And so one of the things that I have been working on, because I realized I was like, this is a big barrier to me learning this language, is the fact that I can't hear it. So I'm using my dream incubations to just like just I just want to dream of myself hearing and understanding French. Literally, like that's what I want to dream. I just want to dream like that I'm in France and people are speaking to me and I'm managing and I can understand them and I can get along. And I feel like it's working. I mean, I'm also doing Duolingo every day. But like I'm like shocked by how much my comprehension has improved in a short amount of time. And I really feel like it's thanks to the dreaming.
Well, and I think this is, you make some good points, is that there are people who say they went into a dream and they were like, I want to know how to speak French. And they woke up speaking French. Maybe they did, but probably you're going to need to study French also. The dream incubation and the dream work is to supplement what's happening in your waking life. Although a lot of the work is done in your dreams and it's done in sleep. This is what, the more they study the importance of sleep and the value to sleep and all the things that happen at night when you're sleeping, it's part of the sleep state is that like you said, it lets you work out, it lets you try out different solutions, right? Let you try on different different feelings, right? How would I feel? And so this is a great thing to say as I'd like to have a dream that would show me how I would feel if I felt great, if I was not worried, what would that feel like? Because sometimes we don't even know what not worried feels like. Sometimes we don't know what not scared of something feels like. So we can say, I just like to know what it feels like to feel happy, to feel joy, to feel love, and let the feeling, come over us, right? But particularly saying, I would like to be receptive. I would like to be able to, to learn more quickly. But so what I want to do, I think what this maybe is a good point, is I want to just drill down into what an incubation is, and then I want to separate it from the stuff that's happening in the dream and then the things that are happening in your waking life, right? So I'll give you an example. I had like I said, worked for 9 years with one tech startup, took it to sale. We took it through the sale process. So I immediately started with another one, and pretty quickly I could see that it was just not a good match for me, and I decided to exit. And I had another opportunity, but it was going to be probably 6 months till it was ready, and I just decided I got to go from this other one. And so, and I said, well, maybe it's going to be 3 months. And then it got pushed out and I got very, very anxious. So I was anxious about that. Now let's throw in here just the political situation, you know, for the last few months. I have been aggressively meditating. If you can aggressively meditate, I've been aggressively meditating. And particularly before I go to sleep, I have found where in the past I could just do an incubation. Now I have to listen to something. I've been listening to guided meditations before I go to sleep. So if you have a prayer practice, a meditation practice, it all works with it, right? You can use all of that if you need a little boost for dealing with anxiety as you're falling asleep. Because buddy, everything you're afraid of is going to come up as you're falling asleep. And
Yeah.
so but that is, again, shows you what's there and you just want to get past that, right? I just want to clear that, right? So I was thinking, I was really starting to get freaked out about, am I going to, I need a job, right? And so I went to sleep and I was like, okay, dream self, I need this to happen and I need it to happen now. I said, I need it now. I need it, take care of it. I said, and I look forward to waking up and this is taken care of. And so when I woke up the next day, I thought, I should reach out to this guy that I worked with in the other company and who started his own company. I should see if he needs anybody. Whenever I woke up by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that guy called me out of the blue. We had not been in touch. And he said, hey, are you available? Are you available for a contract job? And I was like, yes, you don't even have to tell me what it is. And because I knew I had incubated that. So sometimes you could, especially got a lot of emotion behind something, you can, it may turn up the next day, right? I was like, I need it now. I want it to happen now. Now I'd probably been incubating that about what I'm going to do for a job, what I'm going to do for a job for a long time, right? But you can very, very much say, I need some sign, I need some information, I need
Some
I
movement
need
here.
the movement. And
Yeah.
when I look forward, I really like to say before I go to sleep, and whatever it is, I look forward to waking up and seeing how the day is going to present a step in the right direction or a solution, right? So you can, so I like to say you can take something very specific and say, I would like an idea, but I would like a solution, right? I would like a solution. And even if it's just a step, even if it's just movement, I really like that even more. But like movement, I like a step that shows me that this is in process, right? That guy reached out to me, but it was still 2 months till he had anything for me. And that project got delayed. But for whatever reason, he was like, I'm going to call Angela right now. Well, I know what reason, because sent out some psychic vibes, inner beings aligned. God's like, I got you, girl. You don't have to worry. Right. So, yeah, but it didn't happen right away, but it relieved that anxiety. So I think particularly with everything that's going on in the world, that it's really good to be able to say, if you are feeling anxious, right, that you take that concept and say, you can say, I would like to have a dream that resolves this anxiety. I'd like to have a dream that resolves this fear. I would like to have a dream that resolves this block. A lot of times we feel blocked, right? So I would like the dream to resolve the block anxiety, and I'm going to wake up and feel great. I look forward to waking up and feeling great. And see, this way you just sort of bypass, well, I got to have a dream and I got to think about the dream and what did I feel in the dream, which is great. And I think everybody should do that because it's a beautiful, intimate experience with yourself. But we're busy people. I don't have time to do that. I need answers. I need solutions. And so by doing that and saying, I'm going to let the dream self resolve it, and then when I wake up, I'm going to be alert and I'm going to trust. See, this is where, again, receptive, being in a receptive mode means I'm going to trust that that process is going to work, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to have an idea. I'm going to have an impulse. I'm going to have a synchronicity. Someone will call me out of the blue and I will act on it. And so sometimes when we're dealing with manifestation work, spiritual work, the spiritual bypassing of it is that we don't ever have to really do anything, right? It's like you don't have to do anything. Oh, the world is bad. And so you're just going to get aligned and feel good and you don't have to do anything. No, that alignment, that's whatever that spiritual guidance is going to be part of helping you to focus in the midst of chaos on what you should do, right? What is the action that you need to do? Because in our lives, in the world, there's so many things coming at us. And so sometimes when I'm going to sleep these last few nights, I'm like, okay, I, you know, I've got I'm working on a new project and I'm trying to learn some new skills. So I need to incubate that I'm going to be able to, to be able to use this new program. And my dad's been in the hospital. So I'm like, I need my dad to be okay. And so I need, so I'm gonna, incubate about my dad and I want everybody to be protected that needs to be protected, right? And
Goodness,
and
you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, Angela.
and see that's and the thing is you can do that, right? But it's really, really not the best way to use a dream
I was gonna
incubation.
say, I feel like
And
that's you, like
this is
stressing yourself all
and
the way out.
this is why I have to aggressively meditate, right? And so the point is that if you can just pick one thing, it's not like your dream self and your inner guide, whatever you're working with, it's not like they're not going to work on all of them, right? But if you can just bring it down to one thing, and particularly one thing that's going to make you feel really good, right? Something's going to make you really feel good. That is a nice place to start with the dream incubation. And you just say, I would
Yeah.
like to wake up and feel good. I would like to sleep. I just recommend this for everybody. You can do this. It's easy. Like tonight, I will have a dream that will allow me to sleep well, have restorative sleep, wake up feeling rested and ready and receptive for all the good things that await me, right?
Yeah.
I I every night, the one that I do say every night is that in dreams, I'm attracting the best possible events for all aspects of my life. So in dreams, I am attracting the best possible events, you could say, outcomes, whatever, for all aspects of my life. That is the dream incubation equivalent. And when the genie offers you a wish and you say, I'll take infinity wishes, that that's the one that is the blanket that is where you to cover everything. So I do that one and then I pick one, right? Then I pick one and I work on it. Now, again, there's a whole lot going on in dreams that you can be aware of, but you don't have to remember any of that. the key is going to be being aware and attentive to when you get an impulse or a thought, an idea, or a feeling. And because you have taken the time to put it into words, you don't have to speak this stuff out loud. You can say it out loud. I just think mine. You can write it down, right? So if you come up with one of the day, write it down, read it before you go to bed. But that by doing that, you've also primed yourself to pay attention to the solutions, right? So now there's a piece of your conscious mind that's looking around for it. Well, where's that answer? Where is that going to come from? And so it lets you be in receptive mode. And you don't have to overthink the receptive mode, because you will be like,
It's happening naturally while you're
right.
sleeping. You don't have to,
It
yeah, you just get to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and rest. And it's even though it sounds like, oh, I'm just gonna be working 24 hours a day. I'm just gonna make my dreams work. No, it's actually a way to rest in your waking life, because you can relieve a lot of anxiety and
Yes.
tap into sort resources that you would not even realize that you don't may not even have in physical reality, that it's going to tap you into a stream of consciousness, of collective consciousness, that opens you up.
Yes. I love all of that. And I want to actually ask a really quick question of
Yeah.
everybody in the chat, which is, do you remember your dreams? Do you
Mm.
generally remember your dreams? And Angela, I would like you to share a little bit, just a little bit of advice for people who don't, because as Angela has mentioned, you do not have to remember your dreams to do this dream incubation. I remember lots of my dreams. I certainly don't remember all of them. But regardless of whether I remember the dream or not, I feel that this is still a process that is helpful to me. Angela, I'm glad that you brought up just because sometimes I'm like, I don't know really what I want to dream about tonight. I just want to have a really pleasant dream. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to have a dream that feels good, and there's pleasure, there's fun. Like sometimes I'm just literally that's all I want. I just want a good dream. But I definitely do the incubation when I know that I'm not gonna get like my ideal amount of sleep, like I know like, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to bed late, I got to get up early. And I will do dream incubations that'll just be when I wake up in the morning, I will wake up rested and refreshed. I will have a deep, restful sleep. And it totally, I mean, it helps. It works. Okay. So
It
I just
does.
want to say, okay. So you were saying sometimes, most of the time, sometimes, majority of the time, some of them. Yeah. So we're all kind of in that same place of remembering, not always remembering. But what is your just few pieces of advice for people who do want to get better at remembering their dreams?
Yeah. So part of it is about noticing when you're falling asleep. This is a good training. It's a muscle, right? And you talk about a lot of times kids always remember their dreams, right? And I say they're going to come in and they're going to tell you dreams. And if you were I was that one too. And everybody's like, oh God, not another dream from Angela. And you were there, and you were there, and you were there. And so, because kids are open to it, right? But we start to shut down because, again, we're told it's not important. Also, it's if we are afraid of what we're going to see, our conscious mind will put up a block, to not let us see it. And so I think that if you do want to remember dreams, start by just noticing what's happening when you're falling asleep, right? Notice if you see anything. Do you hear anything? Again, a shape, a color. Like for me, when I'm very, very relaxed, I start to see like a purple dot, right? And it starts with like about maybe about that big, right in my third eye. And then it will expand, expand, expand into my field of vision, right? I have that experience in deep meditation, if I'm getting a massage, if doing anything, but also if I'm falling asleep and I'm just focusing on just like what is my experience of falling asleep, and trying not, again, that's sort of clearing your mind. What is it? See, do you hear things? I noticed as I worked on that as a project, that I would have little tiny scenes. I call them vignettes. It would just be like a scene, like I turned a channel, and it would just be one little setting. Like I had one, and I was in Miami, and I was in a big fancy house, and there was somebody cleaning the house, and I was like, oh, they're cleaning the house, and then that was it, right? And I have no idea where that came from, what that was about. What you'll find is that you have little snippets of things, right? And a lot of times you can see them when you're falling asleep. The other place to catch it, though, to catch your dreams, is you, I think about catching it by the tail when you wake up, right? So if you wake up in the night, something disturbs you, you have to get up, go to the bathroom. Um, just if you can take a beat and see if there's anything there, right? Just a feeling, an image, one thing, right? Again, since most of us have to wake up to an alarm and we're out the door. But if you can possibly have, like a few extra minutes before you get up to just see, is there any little piece of it? And usually you're going to have a feeling, right? It will start with a feeling. And if you just sit with that feeling, and when I say sit with, you get up and be brushing your teeth, taking a shower, doing whatever, going through your morning routine, right? But if you just say, what was that feeling? I had a feeling, and then see if an image comes. So a great visualization that I learned is you just think about it that you're a visitor in dreamland, and you've got your camera, right? You've got your Polaroid camera around your neck, and you're just going to snap pictures. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. And you're just going to try to bring back one snapshot from your dream. So you can say, when I'm falling asleep, I just want to remember one piece of a dream. I just want one visual from the dream. And then see, just again, a lot of times it's just staying with it. You'll start to feel it literally will start to come up, and you're like, I'm feeling something, because dreams aren't stored in our regular memory, right? So like short-term, long-term memory, they're in a different part of the brain, but you can access them, right? And they will come up. So that's actually just seeing if they're a feeling or an image, and then thinking about that image. And the more you do it, the more you'll get. But absolutely, you can set the incubation. I would like to remember more of my dreams. I really like this one. It says, I will remember. You say, I will tonight. I will remember the most significant dream of the night. Because actually, what they find is that people are dreaming. You may have 3, 4, 5 dreams. Some people have 10 dreams, right? And so they're the people that have the other problem. I have so many dreams. It's like it's too much to remember. Well, I just want to remember the significant dream, or a significant part of a dream. And if, again, you just got to stick with it. And usually it would be anywhere from like 3 to about 10 days. And you will often find that you'll start remembering more of your dreams. Then, if you have the opportunity to record them, any little piece that you remember. And so, classically people write dreams down. I literally think the voice recorder is the way to go. The voice note is the way to go, right? And so if you're sleeping with the phone by your bed, um, guilty as charged, you can reach over immediately. But if not, right, then as soon as get to a point where you as quick as you can, just speak a little bit of what you remember of the dream. Like, oh yeah, I had this dream, and I was with Mariah Carey, and she was showing me some shoes, and there was something about those shoes, but then we were by a river, and I don't know what river. And as you start to talk it out, a lot of times it will just come back to you. I mean, like a whole dream will just pop fully formed. And so that's a nice way. If you're going to, if you want to write your dreams down and you don't have much time in the morning, keywords like for that dream,
Yeah,
I had,
that's what I do. Yeah.
Mariah, shoes, river, weird, and then, and a lot of times you go back and again, you just sort of say, okay, well, what did I remember about that? And it will come back fully formed. So those are some techniques that you can use to really get hold of more of your dreams.
Yeah. I because I don't have my phone by my bed, that's like one of my
Yes.
rules. So I write down. And I don't do it every day. And I always lie to myself and I'm like, "Oh, I'm totally gonna remember this." And then I don't. I mean, sometimes I do and
Yeah.
sometimes I don't. But I do the key, like, especially because sometimes it's like by the time I'm actually writing, it's already escaped. Most of it's escaped. So I'll be like, just like you said, I'd be like, okay, river, shoes. Like I just do those keywords. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe, if that's helpful or not. But I do
Well,
think there's something to be said for just setting that intention and that incubation of wanting to remember, and you will, if you bring more attention to it, you'll definitely remember more.
And that focusing on attention, right? And even if it's just one thing that you write down, right? Shoes, maybe it's going to be, I say Mariah Carey, whatever. You may have a synchronicity with that will, you'll be like, wait a minute, that was in my dream. Or wait a minute, that reminds me of my dream. So just having a little anchor. So you're just thinking about it as like a little hook, right? That can hook you back into the dream can be very powerful. Again, there are people that as part of their little dream experiences, they just take one thing from a dream and they will go into kind of a meditative state and they'll think about that one thing. I knew somebody and she talked about how she had a dream, there was a lamp and she just got relaxed and thought about that lamp and thought about being the lamp and what was the lamp. And she said such an incredible experience just going into that part of her brain and into this what did that mean? What did light mean to her? What did it mean to be illuminated? So just one little piece of your dream is probably got 10 meanings to it. I got 10 things that are going to be connected to it. So you don't have to remember lots of your dreams, but it is a muscle. The more you remember, the more you practice remembering, the more you will remember. But you are exactly right, Franny. You think I mean I do that too. Like, oh, I'm going to remember this dream. I'll record it later, and then it's gone because it doesn't go into your traditional like short term, and then it gets processed into long term memory. It's going through a different part of your memory. It'll be in your short term memory, but it doesn't necessarily go into long term memory. It's very ephemeral, but that doesn't mean that you don't remember it. And it doesn't mean that it's not remembered in the dream state because your dreaming self has memories. If you start really
Yes.
recording your dreams,
Yeah.
your dream self will be like, oh, I remember that time we went to such and such. And when you wake up, you'll be like, my dream self was referring to another dream. That
Yeah.
that was another dream,
Yeah.
right? And so
I had that happen to me recently where I had three dreams that were all in the same different, like totally different scenarios, but I was in the same house.
yes.
And it was this very unusual design of like the top floor of this house. And so in every dream, like I would go in, I'd be like, this is the same house from that other
Mm-hmm.
dream. But it's like in one dream, it's like all modern, furniture. And the other dream, it's like antique furniture. And it's always changing. But I was like, oh, I'm like visiting the same place in my dreams. Wild, 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 wild. Okay, wait, Angela, I know that we literally only have you for 6 more minutes. I know you have a
Sorry,
hard
guys, and
stop.
I'm like, yeah, I would like to.
But
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
but I want to just quickly ask you, first of all, I mean, because I literally, I'm like, can you stay maybe for just 2 more hours? 'Cause I have so much more that I want to talk about. But
And honestly, I absolutely could stay for 2 more hours and not run out of material. I'm putting.
but okay, but the quick thing is first of all, if anybody wants to go deeper into learning about dreams specifically with you and don't and I know you have a bunch of resources and you can share those with me and I will share them with everyone else. So don't like go and list like all the other dream people. You specifically, is there any way that we could stay in
Yeah, in
touch with
fact,
you and go
let
deeper
me
with you on this?
let me put this in the group chat, and I accidentally just sent it to Gia. So I set up a little landing page. I'm working on formalizing how people work with me because I work with people all the time, and it's pretty much like you got to reach out to me. So you can DM me on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky. But if you use this little link that I did, I just put together a little page and
Okay.
my email is there. You can email me. And basically I've been doing like 1 hour sessions, if you want to do a dream strategy. So let's take something that you want related to dreaming. You want to come up with dream incubation. If we do dream incubation, we do like a 30-day plan. If you want to do more about understanding your own dream symbols. So I start with a one-time session. I usually charge $150 for that. But if anybody follows up with me from here, we'll make sure you get a good friends and family discount on that. And just one session can help you really get started with formalizing a strategic approach to dreams. And particularly, like I say, this term, think of it as a deliberate dreaming. Not random dreaming's fine, but deliberate dreaming gives you access to a piece of yourself and to a greater consciousness that's just there waiting for you. It really is. Your dreams are trying to help you, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to help you. And it's literally like somebody talk about French. It's like it speaks another language and it's yelling at you, right? When it's showing you the same house 3 times, that's your dream self going, look, 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 look. And so by being deliberate, you can literally go and say, okay, tonight I would like to have a dream that explains why I keep going to that house. I would like to have a dream that explains to me why I keep having this school dream that I've been having since I was 16, right? You can ask your dream self to help you out because it wants to. And once the dream self understands that if conscious self is trying to get up in there, it's going to work double time to connect to you. So it's if you think of it, I mean, not to give people a feeling of a split personality, but there's literally like a part of you that really does want to work with you, and it's trying. And all you got to do is say, I see you, and let's figure out. Okay, you speak a little different language than I do, but we can figure it out. And it's just amazing the collaboration that can come from just working with yourself. And I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, but yeah, if
Yeah.
you that link will take you and most people in here, I think, probably know how to find me. But yeah, Instagram, you can just
Don't worry.
DM me.
I'll share with you. I'll
Yeah,
share with everyone. Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right. So, um, last question in the last 3 minutes, and I'm sorry, guys, that I'm hogging Angela and all the questions. What is your advice for when we have a dream that we're really like, what the hell did that dream mean? I know it's like a big question, but what is like one or two little tips that you suggest people use to start figuring out why they dreamt that?
yeah. So I'm going to give you 2 things, maybe 3. Um, so one is to just go through when you say, well, what the hell was that about? Break the dream down into as many segments as you can, either scenes in the dream or objects or settings in the dream. And just ask yourself, what does this remind me of? Does this remind me of anything in my waking life? Does this remind me of anything I've ever experienced? Right? A lot of times, if you just do that, the dream state works as almost like free association. If I say dog, you say cat, but I say cat, you may say toast, right? Because your dog's name, you have a dog named Toast, right? So it's dog is not going to generate dog for me, maybe my dog Poochie from when I was 13, right? It may generate something else, but when you say, well, what does that remind me of, right? So that's a really good way to start to get through, like, this was crazy. And once you do that, once you start doing that, does that remind me of anything? A lot of times the meaning becomes quite clear. And what seems like that was batshit is actually like, oh, okay, no, oh, that's right. And here's one I just had. I've just finished reading this book about old ladies solving crimes. No, and I'm like, and then I had this dream about finding a woman with senility, and I had to take care of her, and it was on. I'm like, where did that come from? I'm like, I've been reading these old lady mysteries. I watch them and I read them, and I'm like, bring me a Golden Girls. I want some powerful Golden Girls. Murder She Wrote, bring them on, right? I was like, oh, I've only spent like every night before I go to sleep, before I do my aggressive meditation, listening to this. I said, okay, now that I know, okay, that's why I dreamt about an old lady. Now, if I pull that out, now what else was happening? I'm like, okay, I can start to see, where do I feel obligation? Where do I feel panic? Where do I feel like where I can't get away? Where am I worried about somebody? And it really, I did. I woke up, that was a crazy dream. It will start to make sense. So that's number one, is just sort of break it down and say, does this remind me of anything? It's like, oh yeah, I saw that on TV, or oh yes, this reminds me of when I was a kid. That right there can start to break through. Second thing is, you just can do another dream incubation, or you can do a meditation if you want to just get quiet. There's a whole school of thought that you can't interpret a dream unless you are in the state in which you were dreaming. So you have to sort of be in almost a dreamy state to interpret a dream. But yeah, I'm like, I don't do it that way, but give it a try. But you can just relax and think about it and say, okay, let me take one piece of that dream and let me just kind of go back in there and see what does that mean? Or you just say, I would like to know why I dreamt that dream. This dream was crazy. Dream self, what were you trying to show me? Can you tell me this in another way? So that's the other thing I'll say. Thank you for that crazy ass dream. That's entertaining. But can you tell me in a way that I can understand? Because I don't understand what you just presented with me, what you just presented to me. So that's another thing. And then the third thing is, if you can, jot it down in some kind of way and start looking and seeing if any of those crazy elements show up in your life, because they really may be lining you up for synchronicities that have nothing to do with the crazy story of the dream, right? The
Right. It was just
that
trying to get your attention.
It's just trying to get your attention. It's like,
Yeah.
look over here, look over here. It's AC Brown who says spirit is going to go for the closest thing to you. When it's communicating with
Mm.
you, it's going to grab the closest thing to you. So you're reading about old lady solving crimes. I'm going to throw an old lady in there because apparently that's where you want to look. Now let me give you a message behind that, right? So
Yes.
those would be my three suggestions of crazy dreams.
Angela, thank you so, so much.
Oh,
This has been so great. And thank you, everyone, for being here.